So feedback and assessment in a music classroom, you're right, similar to physical education, really is largely observation-based because it's a performance-based class in many ways. Not all the time, there are some written assessments, there are, whether it's music notation or talking about history and culture and some of those other standards that we teach, but when you're talking about the direct performance standards, rhythm, melody, instruments, singing, and all of those sorts of assessments, they are largely visual, and obviously you're listening as well, but it's in the moment, So we have done a lot of, like I said, video collecting of data for when we're sharing, but when you're in the moment teaching, typically as a music teacher, if you're teaching with that kind of integrity towards a certain standard, the formative assessment data is happening every moment. There is not a moment of my class that is not formative information for me and for my students. And whether it's, one student plays 3 notes and you give feedback in that moment, or the whole class plays a song or performs something or reads something out loud, and for me as a teacher in that moment, I can hear, well, most of them are there. I heard a few voices that weren't quite together. So that formative piece, the feedback piece, is this constant kind of flow of information and a constant adapting of instruction, because if you look at it as it's similar to athletics, if you fielded a soccer team and you have one person who's incapable of keeping pace with the team and one person who always misses the ball, that it's pretty clear when you look at the field who's meeting standard and who's not. Similarly, if you imagine that you purchased a concert ticket to go see the Seattle Symphony Orchestra and there was one violin in the section who just wasn't hitting any of the right notes, you would hear that over everything. And so, when we talk about some of the other teachers setting 80–85% goals, for us it's really a 100% goal, because, when we put the kids on stage for a performance, if you have one kid who's making mistakes regularly and not quite getting it, all of the attention is on that one kid. So, and we don't try and use a performance necessarily, that it's not like teaching to the test, but that's really kind of the big, the moment where you see it all. That's a huge summative assessment right there. And if anything, you're not obviously grading the kids on their concert, but you're grading your own teaching based on how that performance went. And so the formative, the feedback piece, the little assessments, it's thousands and thousands of tiny little assessments every moment of class, and constant, it's never a big thing where you sit down and have an interview with a kid and say, Johnny, your rhythms aren't quite right, you're not singing on pitch, but this is going okay. It's not like that. It's more in the moment. Hey, make sure that you're listening to this one thing. Make sure you're doing that, and giving little tips, little feedback in the moment, and then allowing them time to work it out, because it really is performance-based, and, in order to perform well, you need to have time to practice. And so it's about giving little things constantly instead of one, as far as a summative. My feeling is that kids going into a summative music, or probably I would imagine for physical education as well, they should have a pretty good idea of how well they're going to do before they even take the test. They'll know where they're at. Hopefully, if we've done our jobs, they'll know where they're at before they're even taking that test. So that formative feedback piece is constant, reflective for the teachers, reflective for the students. And I think that's really important, and that's just inherent in what we do.